Hi everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Happy Monday to you. We're taking a look at Bitcoin, of course, here, helping understand the big picture and seeing what's going on. Maybe help you understand the best practices as well, because I do like to, take a cognizant approach of how things are looking without any emotion. I know it's easier said than done, but try your best, of course, to disassociate yourself from the feelings that you get for the fear of missing out, and of course just that dread that you get when you take a trade and it goes the opposite direction. It's going to happen. You just got to learn to roll with that. Anyways, we can go ahead and see what's going on. What we're going to look at is traditional markets. Also want to look at some fundamentals too. Help understand, generally speaking, what's going to happen next with the price action, because there's some interesting things going on right now with BNB. We got CPA data tomorrow, and of course FOMC on Wednesday. So big stuff going on this week. Okay, be careful, be cautious. Honestly, with the amount of resistance we've seen in the 17.1 to 17.5 range, I wouldn't be surprised if the price turns itself around or continues lower before it jumps up again. Okay, again, we probably want to expect for the price to pull back first before it increases any further. Okay, again, just kind of saying that generally based on the fundamentals, but also we lost this ascending trend line and it's not fantastic. Okay, so again, if you are new to the channel, just keep this in mind. Not a financial advisor, love to teach people to trade. You can register at my website if you want to become a better trader. I have a trading academy community and signal group where I teach you how to trade. We have a lot of good, awesome discussions here, and of course, some amazing traders too, consistently trading and doing very, very well. So keep up with the good work, guys. I'm super proud of you. Furthermore, they're also using Bitget Exchange, best exchange in the country, world, whatever you want to call it, whatever country you're in. It's going to be the best, in my personal opinion. Again, I've used Bybit and I've used KuCoin in the past, and this one takes the cake. We also have a $10,000 prize pool monthly, so be sure to register so you can essentially use that or have that qualification every month. Okay. Again, link in the description below. If you use that link, you will qualify for that by default every single month. So here's the thing with Bitcoin. Let's just address the elephant in the room. We've lost this ascending trend line. At least we are losing it. Sorry, I don't want to misspeak there. We technically haven't closed yet today, but it does look like we are going to close below that trend line. And what that basically just tells us is that this ascending trend of making higher lows could be coming to an end. If we close below, just say the 16,800 range, then absolutely that is confirmed. But between now and then, we got to expect the price to potentially start working sideways or down because we lost this trend. Okay. Again, that's not the reason to take a short position, but it definitely is a contributing factor. And we want to see if there's other things as well that are working towards that. Now, once more, just to kind of confirm, RSI stuck at 50 is never a great sign, at least when it goes on for this long. This has been almost 2 weeks now, and we've been stuck under that price range. So it's not great. We're also losing momentum still on the MACD. So in essence, the larger time frame here, the daily, is not looking fantastic. It's really just kind of telling us that the price action could and should continue lower as potential reality. Again, I think it's more like just a 60-40 probability here that we're going to see a further downside, but it's mostly based on the fact that we have CPI data, and of course BNB is on the struggle bus right now. There's a lot of speculation there, and a lot of those things are kind of adding to this fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We're also well below the 50-day SMA, and until we're back up above that, as I've mentioned before, we have no reason to want to take a long position into that, essentially, at least, when we get closer. We're still far enough away, we don't really need to worry about it, but generally speaking, that's going to work as a resistance level. What we should see that happen is, everything's going to kind of come to a head at this 17,600 range, because we've got a lot of major key level resistances there. So that explains why we are having trouble getting past that point. We need more time in this price range to essentially average it out. That being said, we got the 20-day set moving average here kind of working as a support level potentially. We're going to see if that continues to hold. That is a positive sign here, but not a great sign, because again, the lower the moving average, the less reliability. It's just more of a short-term moving average. All right. So again, the daily I think looks moderately bearish. Okay. We can see a nice little bounce off this support level here at about 16,900. This is a more recent relevant Fibonacci retracement level, so we can see that little bounce there. Price is recovering here, of course, so late shorts got wrecked, but on the same accord, late longs could also get wrecked too here at this resistance level of 17,100. So I would think 17.1 might be a decent area to consider a short position and to potentially, fill this little gap here, so to speak, or take some profits within that range. Again, just speculation here. There's no guarantees, but we're under 50 on the RSI. We had diverged on the MACD, of course, already. That was roughly, I think it was Saturday over the weekend. And generally speaking, we are losing this momentum. So keep in mind, obviously, the momentum on the 4-hour, the transitionary time frame, essentially, the midterm, is telling us that it's slowly recovering, okay? Again, there's no confirmation we have here that's going to converge, but it is moving towards that, okay? So in essence, the 4-hour is kind of giving us some false positives here, kind of giving us contradictory information. We're under RSI, of course, at 50. We'll see if we get a rejection at that level, but until then, we are recovering bullishly, at least slightly, okay? So to me, that's more of a wash. It's kind of 50-50, especially when we're kind of stuck in between all moving averages here. It is great that we're above the 200-day SMA. That is fantastic, but it's kind of more of a consolation at this point, okay? Because again, everything else here, the 50 and the 20 are kind of working above the price action, kind of consolidating, so to speak, right here at this area of 17.1. So it does look like 17.1 could become the new resistance based on it being a previous support level and having lost that pretty well, or really pretty substantially, rather, okay? So again, just some little things to kind of think about. We take a look at the 1 hour, we can see where I'm making tentatively higher lows here, of course, on the shorter time frames, but generally speaking, that is not fantastic. Let's take a look at T sequential though and see we are working our way up here. So a turnaround would make sense, or at the very least, a sideways push. So we can see we're overextended to the upside. While it's not a massive overextension like it was to the down, it's still relevant and essentially likely to see a turnaround. So it's very common to see a massive push down like this, followed by a kind of a relevant / less influential increase to hit that overextension, and then of course retrace back down. So it's definitely looking like it wants to pull back, especially with this having issues breaking through this resistance level. We're not there yet, but generally speaking, let's see what the cloud tells us here. So we're obviously well below the cloud, conversion line is below the baseline, and the lagging span is intersecting soon with the price action. So the next 5 hours, we could get a signal that the price action, or at least more importantly, that you should potentially consider closing your long position, okay? Again, potential, whatever the case is, it's a situation where we want to maybe consider a short position at this point, just based on the fact that we have so much amplification to the downside. We've also got this lagging span, the upper and lower lead of the cloud is effectively consolidating right there at that 17,100 range. So the probability of the price shooting through that level is very low, considering we lost the trend line. Our momentum to the downside is still there, and we're also overextended to the upside with this little recovery here, albeit nice and beneficial and helpful, may not sustain itself. So there is, once again, about a 60-40 probability of the price action moving down from here than it would be up. Again, generally speaking, we're looking at some bearish signs here for the most part. So daily and the hourly are both telling us that it wants to go down, whereas the 4 hour is kind of undecided. So in that sense, truth be told, you probably want to wait a little while before you take a position. But to me, a short seems much more viable over the next few days based on the CPI data and, of course, FOMC meeting. Because how much good news have we gotten on the FOMC? Really none. I mean, it's always been, at least for the most part, at expectation. And typically when that happens in the recent past, we've seen the price go kind of sideways and up. This case in point, I think, is a little different with all the weird stuff going on in the cryptocurrency market, FTX kind of trashing the market, and then on top of that, BNB having speculation right now. I think right now we're going to start seeing the price, at the very least, decrease leading into the FOMC, and then potentially an increase from there. We got to wait and see, though, honestly. So it's just kind of where we're at. Generally speaking, I'm more so bearish on the short term, and obviously long term is still undecided. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at here. Hopefully this provided some clarification for you and it makes sense how I described it. If it did, comment below, all that good stuff, and make sure you feel free to become a community member if you'd like. CryptoCash.tech is the site once again, and be sure to register for Bitget with my link so you can qualify for a $10,000 prize pool monthly. We're going to have our next little run in January, so it should be very good time there. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.